7:15, and when I scheduled this for 7, I forgot that I've been sleeping until 6:45. So I've had 1 cup of coffee. I got my chickens going, and now I'm going to start a fire for my next cup of coffee. I know that looks bad. Let's see if we can pretty it up. There, that's a little better. That is a wind block for my fire and for my baby goats. That's where they sleep at night. So I'm gonna make some coffee and discuss a few things. We've been having warm weather lately, but now it's cooling off. And we're gonna have some good hunting weather. I got deer hunting coming up, and I'm planning 2 nights of that. And then some other historical reenactors are planning a hunting trip for grouse, and that's in a historical location where they used to drive the cattle out of Yakima up toward BC, up toward Canada, to the miners up there. So I'm looking forward to exploring that area, which one day I'm going to make a video of anyway. So that's going to be fun and exciting. And after that, I'm going to do a elk camp. I just got somebody, it looks like, to take care of my animals, so I can go up and do a full elk camp. Looks like it's going to be about 5 days. And so that's good news. That'll be elk and bear and cougar. This is what I'm actually allowed to hunt. Right here I got some cottonwood bark for tinder. Now I'm going to add some cedar. And I don't have great preparations, but I think with this much tinder, I'm going to have a fantastic fire. So we got hunting season coming up. Grouse is part of that. And that means I'm also getting deer hides. I got a deer hide yesterday. Nice fresh one. The guy skinned it really well. He did a great job. So hoping to flesh that today while it's still fresh. Flesh it and grain it is my goal. And what's really cool, oh, hang on, let me see something. So apparently if you got any questions, you can ask them, and I'll check the screen and do my best to answer. This is my first live video ever, so I hope it's even broadcasting. And hopefully can keep it entertaining. So the cool thing in this valley that I live in, you know, I'm working on being a hunter-gatherer, basically supplying all my meat and say 75% of the rest of my food off of growing it and foraging it. What's so cool in this valley is there's tons of good old boys already doing most of that. Sure, they may live in normal houses, but it's pretty common to find guys that get all their food, well, all their meat off of hunting and fishing. Oh, fishing is one I didn't say. And then gardening. So it's kind of funny to hear oh, where'd that go? There it is. Ouch. I didn't get very prepared here. So it's kind of funny to hear all these people talking about living off the land and about preserving nature, and then hating all the country folk who are already living off of nature. I don't know. It gets really complicated, obviously, so I won't go into it, but it's a start. It's pretty cool. Meet some neat people around here. Learn a lot from them. All right, I am going to demonstrate for you this coffee preparing method that I made up. That's because I just got some goat milk yesterday, and I once invented a coffee method when I was into chai tea, but I wanted to create coffee that was similar. And I had heard probably in other countries they're already doing it, but I didn't know how, and I couldn't find it on YouTube. So I just made this method up myself. It's, you brew coffee right in milk. That's goat milk from someone I traded for. Most people don't realize goat milk is a complete food. In other words, you can live off of goat milk alone. So having a milk goat or two is a pretty good way to prep or do survival or just live off the land, whichever approach you're taking. Well, let's see. So this has got moldy coffee in it. So I gotta get some water. I gotta move that fire over here. And keep adding fire with it. So I'll check some messages. Any messages? Any questions? I'm assuming they're gonna show up. Thanks for the likes, guys. Welcome to live chat. Remember, guard your privacy. Yeah, okay. We got a few people watching. A few likes. Come on over here, Doug. So for deer hunting, planning that here in a few days, and I'm not going to take my horses. I think since this year I didn't get to do the hunting trips the way I was wanting to do them. Maybe next year, hopefully next year. I want to go up all month so I could do a couple weeks of grouse hunting and fishing in the lake up there, and scouting for elk and deer, so that when the season comes around, I'll know the territory pretty well, and perhaps have an eye on a couple of animals. That's what I was hoping to do this year, but it's been, these darn chickens are the main issue. I got to have somebody here to close them up at night, and because when I'm here, the dogs keep the chickens safe. And so when I'm not here, I need to lock them up, and I haven't been able to find anybody. And then up there, that means I gotta take the dogs and goats with me. But if I can leave the goats behind and just take the dogs, that's my plan. The dogs work at night for security really well. And then I'll take a couple, I plan to take a couple horses up to elk hunt. Apparently where I'm going, the terrain's pretty rough. And if I am fortunate to get an elk, I'll need them to take it out of the kill spot. So that'll be next year. This year is just a 5-day hunt, but that's all right. Things are progressing along little by little, and everything, every day, every week, I'm learning things and making more out of this life. Things are going well. So I'm going to boil some water here first. Sterilize it a little bit. Let's see. I got my wall tent set up. So this here is my fire for doing deer hides. And thank you, G-Man. Not really sure exactly which part you're talking about, but I appreciate that. This here is my hide post. Morning, redneck operator. Thanks for saying hi. Hey, Joel. Glad to see you this morning. This is for scraping hides on. You put the hide on there. That's my hide scraper. And hopefully we'll get to that here after the video. This is my fruit wood pile. I'm allergic to cherry and apple wood, so that's apricot and pear. I tried to save that for when I'm cooking meat right over the fire. And that right there is a oh, thanks, G-Man. I didn't see any other comments. All right. So I will recognize that that was not about what I said. Just kidding. That's a turkey wing that I got fanned out and drying. I thought it might be cool. And that's where I boil water for soaking the hides. And then I got a couple of coolers. That's my home right now. I'll take you over there. Actually, we'll do that while we're waiting for the water. So I moved into a wall tent recently, and honestly, I don't think I'm gonna keep staying in it. Thanks, Joel. Appreciate that. Thanks, G-Man. I'm just playing around. I'll get to that goat milk question. So I don't think I'm going to keep staying in my wall tent. It's kind of a funny situation. So here's my bed. It's a mess. Whoops. I wasn't ready for company. So I got my bed elevated because my goats like to get up on it, and I don't care if my goats and dogs sleep with me, but hey, thanks, Millie. Yeah, it's cool you guys came out. Where did all the questions go? Huh. Hey, Justin. So my bed's elevated. My dogs made themselves a bed. They folded the tarp back themselves and dug holes. That's where I keep my emergency equipment in case there's a cougar outside that the dogs don't know about. That's the other dog spot. I keep my food in there mostly because of flies right now, but it's cooling off, so flies aren't going to be a problem. And mice can be, but pretty much the dogs and chickens keep them away. My countertop is also elevated so that the goats can't get on it. And I have to keep things away so that the goats don't jump from there to there. Everything's a wreck right now. I didn't realize I was doing a tour in here. Here's my wood stove that you may have seen pictures of. This thing has been just downright awesome. Oh, and that's the third place the dogs sleep, so. The dogs are good at finding what they want. This is my battery. That's how I charge my phone at night, which you'd think I would have done last night, and I didn't. So the goat was jumping up here and onto my bed the very first night. And it wasn't bad because she was just sleeping off by my head. But these black dogs are mean. They're girl dogs. They're my jealous girlfriends, as I call them, because of how they act. And so the goats are scared. So since Sparta sleeps right there, the goat is scared to go over there, and that keeps them off my bed. So that's nice. So the reason I'm not planning to sleep in here is because I have stayed in my teepee, and the teepee is just an amazing phenomenon of human construction. I can keep a big fire going in there, and on the other side of the tent, it's cold. But in my teepee, I can keep a fire just as big as my fist, and I can sit in there in a t-shirt in 20-degree weather. And the wind can be blowing really hard, and I have no clue that it's even blowing hardly. Like literally, when I was staying in Oregon, I was in a t-shirt sitting by the fire, and I decided to go outside for some reason. The dogs were probably barking, and I went out, and turns out there was a blizzard. The wind was blowing the snow sideways, huge snowflakes, and I had no clue. That's just how amazing they are. Okay, so somebody asked about how I store my food. And honestly, hey Sean, glad you're here. Thanks, man. Honestly, food preparation and food storage is still kind of modern. But sometimes, now that things are cooling off, I've got this tarp covering some of that's my other gallon of goat milk and my coffee creamer. That's the essentials. So I can use the creek a little bit now. During when it was hot out, the dang creek was warm and I couldn't keep anything cold in it. And so I do have a little 2-foot by 2-foot refrigerator that I use for the essentials. I agree with that, G-Man, totally. I think there's a lot that we'll never get back, unfortunately. But I've got my irrigation pumps set up on power, and so I had the electrician put in a couple of outlets so that over there, if I need to, I can charge my solar battery. And if I've got that little refrigerator going. That's mostly for the summer. I've been keeping the creamer down here now that it's cooled off. Around here, this place is subject to flood. So I've been apprehensive in digging a root cellar because any year it's liable to flood, but I'm figuring that out. Okay, I'm switching back here. Sit by the fire. I wish this would let me see the messages. I can only see the messages when they pop up. I don't know how that works. Oh, there they are. Okay. Yeah, thanks, Christian. I just saw yours. Jesse, hey, if you're still on here, thanks. Hi from Washington State, close to Seattle, back to Germany. Landon, we're still answering yours. Hey, Larry, thank you. Oh, no, that's G-Man. What did G-Man say? I got to see this. Ah, thank you. Okay, gotcha. Ben Antrim, also from Germany. Awesome, thanks. Larry, if you're still on here, glad to see you. Landon, I'm still answering your question. Hey, this is cool. Thanks, Tommy. I'll show the rest of my camp here pretty soon. And yeah, sweet. Awesome. Redneck operator, you know what I'm talking about then. His family used to sleep in a teepee, camping one. Oh, yeah, Millie, that's the case. I'll talk a little bit more about that. Landon, I'll talk about that. So, let's keep talking about food prep. Or food storage, I mean. Food storage is a big one because the easy answer is you just dry it. Like, it's pretty easy to dry and it's easy to keep. I've got sheep meat that I still use from 3 years ago. And the problem is dried meat, like to preserve it like that, to preserve it like that, you gotta like bone dry. It's not like jerky. Jerky usually goes bad in a couple of weeks, the stuff that I used to buy. But dried meat, you dry it bone dry. And I figured out in previous videos, you'll see, I figured out that you can soak it. You start soaking it around noon or even in the morning. And then by the evening time, it's pretty well saturated, pretty well soaked up and edible. Which, what I mean by that, doing that versus boiling it for 3 hours. Because that's what I started out when I started using dried food. I started out by boiling it, and that took 3-4 hours of boiling, and it would still be really tough. But it's funny how just soaking it, even in cold water, room temperature, whatever, it did a whole lot better. Oh, but then the other day I was making some of that for my dogs, and I figured out that by pounding it with a rock, that broke it up even better. And so now I need to try that. So drying food is one method. If you watched my past videos, you saw where I had that carcass laid out for, I think it was 2 months at that time. And in the right temperatures, you can actually dry age the meat where it gets this thick leathery layer on it, but the inside stays fresh. And you've seen that in the old meat markets where they've got meat that's all white. It's got a powder of white over it. That's mold. And the mold actually protects it from dangerous bacteria. I don't know a whole lot about the science, but I watched some videos on it to see what was going on when I had accidentally done it. So this coffee process, you can't boil milk or it scalds. I mean, I think the Mongolians boil milk for coffee, but that's not really a taste that us Americans are keen on. So what I do, I try to simmer it and keep it from boiling. You don't generally boil brewed coffee anyway. I mean, this is just the standards. You can always deviate from them as you please. But usually it's like 195, 200 degrees that you brew coffee at, 190, 180, depending on what you're doing. And boiling is for tea. Tea can be boiled. So with the milk, it is still within the normal realms of making coffee, that you try not to boil it and just simmer it. And you add a lot of coffee to this method, and then you got to filter it. And it turns out pretty good in the past. I haven't used goat milk with it. Goat milk has its own taste, but this stuff has a really good flavor to it. So basically, food preparation, hey babies, is challenging to have fresh meat, which is one of the reasons I chose to go with goats and sheep. You know, plug these guys' ears. Because it's way easier if you're getting 30 days out of a sheep, then let's say you butcher one every month. Well, there you've got, depending on the weather, you've got X amount of days that you get fresh meat. And then if you decide to smoke or dry some, then you're only doing X amount of days of dried meat before you butcher a fresh one, and now you're back to fresh meat. Whereas if you do a cow, well, then you've got, depending on the size of the cow, you got 500 pounds of fresh meat that will last you all year. It'll last one person all year for sure. And then you got to figure out what to do with it, and you only get those few days of fresh meat, and then the rest of it is you have to preserve. So that's one of the ideas behind getting goats and sheep and roosters, eating a lot of roosters. Rooster will last a few days, so that's another good one. I've got a pen where I can keep them, so just go butcher one when you want a fresh bird. So in other words, keeping live animals is a great method of preservation that I've been thinking about. Through the heat, I did use my refrigerator so I'd have some fresh meat. But I'm trying to get away from all that. So as you guys know, I'm not 100% yet. This is my progress and process, and I'm taking it pretty slow so that I can figure things out as I go and break away from the norms. Instead of just watching YouTube videos and seeing what other people do, I'm kind of doing real life experiments so I can figure out how I want to do it. I'm going to check the questions again. Yeah, hey man, thanks. Yeah, I do like the animals sleeping with me, but my goodness, they make it tough to sleep, so I had to stop. Okay, hey Jacob, he's asking about my cap and ball revolvers, if they're my main source of protection. He couldn't tell if that was solid ground. I do use modern still. I've got a modern shotgun, and since where I'm at here, you can't tell it where I'm at, but there's a house over there. There is a house over there, and you'll probably be able to see, well, let's see. There's a house over there. G-Man, yes, absolutely. I would rather figure things out for myself and know, and then going off what people say. That's a house right there. Oh, no, that's my concrete buildings. There's a house beyond those. That's a private driveway over there. That's a barn. There's a house. Okay, my trailer's blocking it, but there's a house over there. So the point is, I can't use a rifle, and I got to be careful with my handguns, and so that's why I've got a shotgun. I do have my Peacemaker, my 357, that I also grab because if I'm at the right angle or close enough, then it can be safe. But mostly I try to carry my shotgun so that I don't put my neighbors in jeopardy. I don't want to hurt them on accident because the round is flying out there. And then you never know if there's going to be a car. So that's one of the challenges of living here. It's not ideal, but I have I have a great setup here with the creek and an irrigation for raising my animals. And if I can get somebody to take care of my irrigation during the summer, then I don't have to live here at all. Which now we're getting on to another subject. I might move to my other property really soon. And that one is very remote. You can't hear traffic. I hear cars here. It drives me nuts. I hate car noise. But at my other property, you've seen videos. If you've seen my other videos, I was there this last spring. And so I'm planning to go up there. Oh, Justin, I forgot to let it sit and tap on it. Oh well. The trick is you let it sit for 10 minutes, then you bang on the side of it, and that makes the grounds go down. I know there's other tricks too, adding a splash of cold water. So, this will work. I'll just let them fall down in my cup. So I may go live at that camp, may stay there. I've got artesian well now, so I have a water source, so I can, and that's really important besides the obvious, but it's also necessary for doing deer hides. So I may set up my deer camp there and go stay there here pretty soon when I stop irrigating and after I do my elk hunt. So I'm pretty excited about that. I love it out there. I like it here, but I love being out in the middle of nowhere out there. It feels like the middle of nowhere. And the view is amazing. You can overlook the entire town of Yakima. And that's my preferred. I know a lot of people like being in the trees. I don't. I even prefer the wide open and sagebrush to being next to a creek. It's just how I am. So let's see, moving, food preparation, preservation. Over there I can actually dig a root cellar. So that's what I was talking about. Here I would like to have a root cellar. And a friend on Facebook recommended just digging holes, which I do have a spot over here where my oven is, and I could dig a hole there and preserve food. I just don't really feel inclined toward doing a full-fledged root cellar here. But like I said, I still could, because when it floods here, you pretty much know ahead of time if it's gonna flood because you just know the snow levels and the rain levels. So if I had a root cellar here, I could just empty it out if I needed to, because it doesn't flood every year. So if it floods once every 10 years, that's not a big deal. So we might do that. I might do that, I mean. But I'm also trying to live at my other place more. And over there, I certainly can dig a root cellar. There's an area that I got one planned. I think I burned the milk. Doggone it. When I was over there looking at the camera, maybe I can remove that. Creates a film if you burn it. Well, it's not horrible. It's not excellent like it has been in the past. And like I say, I think that's because I burned it. So I'll have to do that again when I don't walk away from it cooking. Let's see, food preservation, Tipi. Oh, the problem with staying in a teepee is I have found that it's important to get a good night's sleep. I camped out here last year for 2 months, and I started noticing that I felt sleep deprived. I started feeling the same way that I did back when I had a security job at night, and I am not a night person, so I was sleeping 2 hours a day. And I felt sleep deprived, and I started feeling that way last year when I was camped here for 2 months. So I went back to my horse trailer where I've got a queen size bed and started sleeping well. And so that's why I've got a nice bed, which I need to work on that, because if I could sleep easier on a smaller bed, that could make things easier. But that's the problem with the teepee. I don't have a huge teepee, so I got to figure out something for a bed. But yeah, we'll see. Well, this might be a good time to go take a walk. Hey, I got some people watching. Hey, thanks, Larry. Catch you later. Thank you, Larry. Safety is always important. Thanks, Jacob. I'm glad it made sense. I suppose you're talking to me. I don't have a recipe for pemmican because personally, I'd rather just eat the fat and eat the meat separately and eat the berries separately. That's just how I am. But there's a lot of videos on pemmican, and it's a cool food. Thanks, Joel. Yeah, G-Man, that's a good point. I mean, they say that like Daniel Boone, well, or a couple guys, that when they'd visit town, who was it? One guy went and visited the capital city, and he ended up sleeping on the floor because he was more comfortable and couldn't sleep in the beds. So, yeah, if I keep giving it a try, I may actually be able to get more comfortable sleeping. That would be really handy. Let's see. Beans on the grill, by the way, that's a good one. I like that name. I am going to move more toward carrying my cap and ball. I was carrying my little revolver, but in my belt, because I don't have a holster for it yet. But then the cylinder, I thought it wouldn't rotate, but it rotated onto a live cap, and that's dangerous with cap and ball guns, because if you put too much pressure, then they can go off. So I've quit carrying that one. But anyway, that's that. So we're gonna go over here. This is where I go out of the wind. And hey, thanks, Miles. Yeah, I've got some cool spots around here that I really enjoy. So when it's windy, then I can come over here. Hey, thanks, Redneck Operator. Thanks for watching. Catch you later. When it's windy, I'm able to go in here. We primarily get our winds from the northwest and the southeast, or the south. And believe it or not, this is possible to have a fire and not be hit by hard winds. But also, since I put it down in the ground, it's also protected from the wind. Let's see how this works. Duke Frazier. I'll try to check him out. A folded moving blanket. Oh, well, yeah, I mean, I've got padding. It's just a matter of finding it comfortable is the issue. So even though this is in the ground, the other night I had a fire here and was cooking a lot of meat, but with the wind, it still sent the smoke in my face a little bit, not bad. So I added 2 more rows of bricks. And hey, Dougie, I think what I might actually do is raise the bricks up high and maybe make the front a little bit like a wood stove, because if however high I've got the sides is how high the smoke will go straight, and then the slight breeze will move it. So if I can put it up around head level, then it might go over my head. And what I was not getting, the theory with this spot is that all these bricks will heat up, and then I can sit here in cold weather and still be fairly warm. But the other night that wasn't really proven to be the case. It was more like just being around a campfire. So we'll see. Maybe I got to put something behind me. Maybe I got to put something over to kind of trap the heat. I think that could make a huge difference. I thought about suspending a tarp over me, and I thought about putting a full-on living quarters over this so that I could just sleep here. So there's lots of options. You got a grate here, so with the bricks I can raise and lower how high I cook, and I can also fit this full one all the way across if I need to, if I got a reason for that. Dog, could you move? Can you come over here? That's a boy. So my oven, hey. This place was under this much water in the spring, and but last year I took this apart anyway. I forget. Oh yeah. Because I didn't have this angle iron, and so the roof was sagging. So I took it apart. I went and bought some angle iron, and that solved it. So what I did, I put angle iron here, angle iron here, and angle iron here to hold that row of bricks and hold that one up. And then I just put these bricks on top to span that gap, which then makes it an option, because a friend of mine, Dave Miller, he really liked the idea of having a chimney. And so now I can try that. I've got a gap on the end that I could open up and build a chimney here with bricks, or I could remove one of these, and start building up a chimney. So I'm looking forward to trying that, because then maybe this could also function as a wood stove, and then I could dig the hole bigger and sleep down here out of the wind, or I could well, we'll see. So that's what I'm looking forward to trying. It's supposed to be, well, I'm too busy with hunting prep now to focus on this. I'll have to do it afterward. And if I move to my other property, then I got to build one over there. And I think I know right where I would like to do that. That was a mouthful of grounds. So that's this area. I've got primarily cottonwood. In here I got a lot of willow wood, which, as far as I know, is pretty worthless. It's not as good as cottonwood, and so I have to bring in my own wood. Let's see. Let's check some more questions here, and I'll give you a more idea of what it's like out here. So there is a video of where I built this this thing. Yeah, the mouthful of grounds. The sucky part about the mouthful of grounds is that it's the end of the cup of coffee, and I always want my cup of coffee to end well on a good note. But then when you fill your mouth with grounds or a fly, like I did the other day, how do I do that? There we go. The grounds was definitely better than the fly. Landing, making money. I just sold a 3-acre parcel. I don't have a money source right now. Kind of hoping if I would improve the quality of these videos, then I could make money doing videos. But I haven't been putting the effort in that I need to. Oh yeah, so all of my life, I am working on turning into as little modern conveniences or any goods as I can, and living from natural resources as much as possible. So I'm working on clothing for that. Hides will be one. I'm thinking about learning to spin wool. Yesterday I got a whole bunch of sheep wool, and there's other people who are always giving sheep wool away. And then I can trade, if I could make wool yarn, I could trade that to people who could also use my wool yarn for making long johns, sweaters, knitting, and crocheting for me. So I'm working on that kind of thing too, for clothing. And then food we've already talked about. And that's the bulk of life. And the funny thing, oh, and felt. I just watched this video on how the Mongolians make felt to make their yurts. And so that's another option. If I get a ton of wool, I can make felt the way they do, and then make a, I was thinking about making a teepee out of heavy felt. I think that would be amazing. So, but in there is vehicles. And I have decided that I'm probably going to keep my truck, mostly because I don't live near a good wood source. My other place is all around sagebrush, and one of my favorite things to do is just sit around fire during the winter. And so for firewood I need a truck, and well, for the times that I want to haul my horses, that's important. Hey goats. Hey guys. Goats really have an advantage with their horns over animals that don't have horns, because they scratch their backs with them. They reach spots that horses can't reach on their own. Right, baby girl? Right? Also, their horns are extremely sharp. When I'm petting these guys, I'm always afraid they're gonna gouge my face, because you wouldn't think so. It looks like they're dull, but they're pretty dang sharp. So folks, I'm kind of running out of things to talk about, and yeah, totally, nature's back scratcher. That right there is a road. That's private, well, it's a county road, and it's a dirt road at least, but as you can see, I'm susceptible to people. That right there is my irrigation pumps. That's my power pole that the electrician put up. I tried to help, but I think he knew what he was doing. So that's my power pole. I'm connected to that because it was just so much cheaper and easier to disperse my water with pumps than to try to use solar. I hope to one day just do gravity. I'm thinking about a permaculture landscape through here where it would use a fraction of the water, but that's kind of a long process. But then I could get rid of my pumps. And so I might start doing some trial and error with that next year. We'll see. So, folks, that's about it. I think I'm going to sign off here unless somebody comes up with some questions. Looks like it's going to be a beautiful day. Hopefully it gets cloudy enough that we get some rain, so I can stop irrigating altogether, which ends on October 15th anyway. Yeah, thanks, Joel. Appreciate you joining here. Yeah, donkeys and llamas, people say protect, but I don't know. Hey, William, swales to dig. I'd like to hear more about that, what you mean. I don't know a whole lot. I think you're talking about permaculture to capture the water runoff. Yeah, one of the ways that I'm thinking about protecting my animals is if I could, maybe if I sell my other Dodge truck, I got a second diesel, and Art of Awakening, I'm out in Central Washington State, Central Washington, on the dry side of the state, out where it's desert, shrub steppe. Shoot, what was I saying? Yeah, thank you, Melly. There's people watching, so that's good. No, I haven't had the, Alex, I haven't had the Tipi set up since I really started doing videos. In my very first video, I made biscuits in my Tipi. So that's about it. Well, I was gonna set up my Tipi, but now that I'm planning to move to my other property, I'm not planning to. But maybe I'll set it up out there. We'll see. I'm not exactly sure what I'm gonna do out there yet. So, dang, what was I talking about? Swales. Anyway. Yeah, good. Thank you, Art of Awakening. I love my lifestyle, folks. If you're thinking about doing this, all I regret is not doing it sooner. I was going to do this multiple times through my life that I was this close to making the leap. And then I was having a rough time trying to run my real estate business. And, oh yeah, thanks, Landon. I went to Texas. I went on a 6-week trip just wandering in an RV that I had, a motorhome. And I met a friend of mine down there named Lee Hale. Hey, Lee. And the guy is just awesome. And he was living this life and had lived this life that I had wanted to do. He lived in a teepee when he was younger, when he was going to college. He built his house himself out of local materials. All this stuff that I just had always wanted to do, and I kept putting it off. And so it was just a life-changing event there, meeting and hanging out with Lee. He invited me to his house. I stayed with him for about a week, and it was just transforming. And it was then, so when I got back home, I parked my RV out on my desert property, and I started staying there more and more. And I just gradually broke away from society and broke into independent lifestyle like you see me doing. And it was a gradual, so far it's been a 4-year process. And so the thing is, by watching videos, you get this pressure like, oh man, I got to go out and do it right because this is how they're doing it on videos. But folks, if I can give anybody some encouragement, you do not have to do it right. All you have to do is just start, whatever you're comfortable with. Like I've already shared with you, I'm sleeping on a modern bed. I'm still refrigerating my coffee creamer because that's just stuff that I haven't done yet. And I don't care if I'm not doing it right. I'm not trying to put on a show as if I'm doing something that I'm not. This is just how I am gradually doing it. And I hope that others will feel comfortable to ease themselves into it. Because that way you actually do it. If you feel like you have to have everything right first, like you see in the videos, then it's just overwhelming and you never do it. So that's what I got to say about that. So yeah, if I could sell my other diesel truck, then I was gonna say that I could buy something with it. but I forgot now. Dang, sorry folks. Those of you who are wondering. All right, so any more question? Hey, thanks, William Robinson. Thank you. Ian, thank you. Art of Awakening, I tell you what, if I did not have horses, I wouldn't even own land. I would much rather be doing this with just a truck and travel trailer, which I would gut and remodel myself. I don't like how RVs are set up. But if I didn't have horses, I'm committed to owning my 8 horses. I don't believe in rehoming and selling animals. But if I didn't have them, I would be staying on public land for 2 weeks or 3 weeks and moving. I'd find the prettiest spots. I'd find hunting spots. I'd find places with good firewood. And I would just be moving all the time. Of course, I'd have to come up with a way to make money. But gosh, if you're not driving all the time, if you stay somewhere if you only drive and change locations a couple times a month, that's not much fuel. And if you're hunting and fishing, you got most of your food. So a lot of people want to buy land. Personally, I wouldn't own land if I didn't have to for my animals. Around here, you can hunt. Right now, available for hunt is grouse. That's a good one. And there's deer season right now for muzzleloader, and then elk season. And then for a few months is bear and cougar. And I think that we actually are allowed 2 bear this year. And so that's a ton of meat right there. If you're a good hunter, you could get a year's worth of meat right there alone. But also if you join the local farming groups or just local groups of rural people on Facebook, it's easy to find roosters that people need to get rid of. So you're actually helping them, and you also get free food that way. So that's how I'd be living if I didn't have my horses. But also nothing wrong with owning property because it'll help me out when I'm older. Somebody said better late than never, and absolutely. I'm just blessed that I still have some youth left. Yes, well said, Timber Drifter. Landon, that would be a good idea. I think I'll start hitting on those kind of topics. However, I had intended to move toward more camping and hunting videos, but then I haven't got out for a while. I have not run across any evidence of hammocks. However, there's other people who are more well-read on that. I do have a book on how to camp written in 1882, I think it was. A guy wrote a book for people on how to go out and have a comfortable camp. And the part that I read, I didn't see anything about hammocks, but that's a good one to Google, see when hammocks were invented. They had to have been used, I think. Let's see, I've got a friend who is from Mexico, and down there hammocks are part of their cultural tradition. So could be that down there they were a normal thing. Hard to say when they made them up here to the west. Sell hiking sticks. That's a good idea. I just, you know, if I lived in a place with good wood, cottonwood gets so brittle that it doesn't make good walking sticks. And then pine is the next tree that's available. I'd have to travel and get alder, but then all of a sudden I'm not in my area. Now I'm going outside of my area, so. Oh, cool. Okay, check out Dave Canterbury for a hammock. Check him out for anything. That guy's amazing. Oh, cool. Ian, I'd like to see some pictures of those. Yeah, I've thought about designing my tent and selling it. Selling that design. So there are some options. Fortunately, right now I don't need money, but eventually I will. I'm just blessed that my mustache comes in. So I might trim it up again soon. I like it how it is though. I also like my hair. Ian, I don't yet. Speaking of, for preparation for hunting, I need to make some moccasins that I've been putting off. So I'm trying to get more and more into making my own crafts. I actually do enjoy them when I do. So moccasins are next. I made that hunting pouch recently. That was just kind of learning techniques. And so I would like to make more and more things, and I'm hoping to next year. I'm working on prepping my life so I'm more free. Oh yeah, good point. They used hammocks on ships, because as the ship rocked, then the bed wouldn't. Micah Bell, look. I don't know who Micah Bell is. Yeah, so things that I want to make. I really want to. Anybody ever read that survival book? It's one of the early ones before the internet. And in the foreword, the guy that wrote the foreword wrote about the author of the book, how he went out into the desert and had to catch up to a group. And by the time he caught up to the group, he had like 20 foot of rope made. He had a pouch made. He had made his own sandals, all kinds of that stuff. So I've got this in my head from when I was a kid, that once I make 20 foot of rope, I've arrived as a bushcrafter. So rope and cordage are a big one, because then later when I was doing rendezvous stuff, this guy gave this rendezvous seminar. No, maybe it was at a rendezvous. It was a seminar on how to make cordage. So I learned how to make cordage, but I've never made like a useful amount. I've just kind of experimented with different fibers. So making rope is one that I want to do. I want to do felt, make clothing and things out of felt. There's a lot of stuff that I want to start making. It's a really fun process. Leather work. Well, folks, I think I'm gonna sign off now, unless anybody's got more questions before I go. We did an hour. Got more viewers. Happy to have any viewers, so thanks, guys. I love live videos, so I've always wanted to do this. So I'm glad that it was, I'd call it a success. Oh, cool. I'll have to check that rope video out. Yeah, there is a lot that could be made with willow. I need to figure that out. It seems like I only run across I don't have a lot of straight willow here. But that's true. There's a lot that can be done with that. Yeah, felt liners. I'd like to make like a felt boot and then put leather over that. For wintertime. So, all right, folks, I appreciate all the interaction and all the interest, and I'll try to keep up with the videos. Yeah, I've been wearing these modern cowboy boots, which are really comfortable when I get them, but these, my heels always slope off, and these are pretty uncomfortable now. My favorite is moccasins, but I like switching back and forth between boots, moccasins, like every day, every other day switch. So that's what I've found, switching around. Thanks, Sean, appreciate that. Thanks, G-Man, appreciate that. Yeah, good call, Joel. Except I don't hardly use, well, yeah, I could use some chairs. Be cool to make my own. Thanks, Math Alphabet. Thanks, Art of Awakening. Oh yeah, Maurice Korchansky, anything about him, but apparently he has a good rope video. All right, folks, signing off. Adios.